away from Zhezkazgan. There, the 6 primary helicopters involved in tonight's landing operations, Russian Mi-8 helicopters, will form a circular racetrack oval pattern around the landing zone, awaiting the arrival of the Soyuz under its main parachute and touchdown, after which they will land in sequential fashion, in rather rapid fashion. The RSC Energia personnel that will be the first on the scene will erect an inflatable medical tent, and the work will be underway to safe the vehicle and to extract the 3 crew members from the Soyuz, place them in chairs by the capsule, and then carry them in those chairs to that medical tent, where they'll get out of their Sokol launch and entry suits and into more comfortable clothing, flight suits, for a 2-hour helicopter ride back to Karaganda. It is there that the crew will split up, with Vande Hei boarding a NASA jet bound for Houston. The 2 cosmonauts will be on a Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft bound for their training base home in Star City, Russia, outside of Moscow. Last week, I had an opportunity to chat with Mark Vande Hei on board the International Space Station for a few minutes, and he talked and discussed his thoughts about the deorbit burn, the ride home in a Soyuz vehicle, and a wrap-up, basically the big picture wrap-up of what his year in space has been all about. Mark, this will be your second landing in a Soyuz spacecraft. Knowing now the dynamics of a Soyuz entry and landing and how that all works, can you walk us through what one astronaut once called a ride comparable to an e-ticket at Disneyland?
Sure, I will definitely do that. So the first surprise for me on my last return to Earth, my last descent, was how funny it feels when the hooks are unlatched from the space station and you feel like you're the cork being popped off a bottle. You just get, there's kind of a popping sensation, you just start drifting away. We don't fire any thrusters. It just feels very, very gentle as we drift away from the space station. After some time, we reorient and do the deorbit burn. Not very dramatic there until we get low enough where so we start interacting with the atmosphere. And then you can see lots of flashes of light as the well-designed spacecraft has parts that burn away to help get rid of all that energy and to pass successfully through the heat of reentry. And then there's this long period of waiting for the parachute to open. Last time, I was not aware of how afraid I was about what was going to happen, as you're just waiting to find out if you're going to live or die, because it all depends on whether that parachute opens up. I didn't realize how scared I probably was until I felt this incredible glee as I was getting shaken all over the place as the parachute opened up in a, or nominally, in a position where the spacecraft, again, nominally starts to oscillate violently back and forth. But some people that's very nauseating for. For me, I just had a wonderful sense of glee because I knew it was working out for us. And then after that, it's again, you have to have some patience while you're waiting to hit the ground. The search and rescue forces, I expect, assuming the weather's good enough for them to be able to see us, will help us by telling us how far above the ground they think we are while we're watching our data on the spacecraft. This time I'll make extra sure that my head is in the seat because we really hit very, very hard. Hard enough where when I hit the ground, my first emotion was anger that I would be hit that hard. It was all fine. No problems, no health problems as a result. The spacecraft worked very, very well. But I will not forget that emotion. And then there's some moments of waiting. Last time we were on the plains of Kazakhstan in February. I was looking forward to smelling the smell of dirt and vegetation, but on the steppes of Asia in February, there was just ice and the smell of helicopter fuel, as the helicopters that were helping get all the resources to us were in our vicinity. This time being later in the year, I'm hoping I might get a little bit of a smell of spring. We'll see. And that's the whole story.
You're landing about not quite 2.5 hours before sunset on March 30th, and we're told the temperature is going to be in the 50s Fahrenheit, so it's probably not going to be as icy as you experienced the first time around, but assuming you get the opportunity to get those smells and the sensations, what's really the first thing or the one major thing you're looking forward to the most once you get back on Earth?
Making a cup of coffee for my wife and myself, and then sitting in bed and talking to each other while we're either reading or catching up on the news. Just having relaxing Saturday mornings is a wonderful thing. And then after that, I'd probably say guacamole and chips.
Mark, a final question. We always ask this ethereal question, but in a big picture sense, if you sit down in the weeks, months, years ahead to write the legacy of the ISS from your perspective, particularly for this past year, what would be your impression, your thoughts about the lasting legacy of the International Space Station?
I think we will always look back on the International Space Station as being a fantastic example of what humanity can do when we cooperate like we do on the space station. This is a very challenging time for international relations. My hope is that in our attempts to further and find peace throughout the world, that these type of connections that we have can be maintained and find and serve as a path forward to try to find that common ground that we need so desperately to find peace.
Mark Vande Hei, it's been a pleasure to be working with you again and over the past year on this, your second space flight. Your name etched in the history books of U.S. human spaceflight. Certainly, we appreciate everything you've done and wish you all the best and soft landings in Kazakhstan. U.S. record holder Mark Vande Hei about to wrap up 355 days in space. We're just 6 minutes away now from the start of the engine firing, the deorbit burn, a 4-minute, 39-second retrograde braking maneuver that will slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, allowing it to drop out of orbit for the final ride back to the steppe of Kazakhstan. Some 28 minutes after the deorbit burn, there will be the pyrotechnic separation of the three sections of the Soyuz. That will occur at 6:02 a.m. Central Time. The only section that matters is the descent module. That is where the crew is strapped in. Antón Shkaperlov, the Soyuz commander, in the center seat, flanked on his left by Piotr Dubrov and on his right by Vande Hei. The heat shield facing the direction of travel to repel the buildup of heat to about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit around the Soyuz itself. The three crew members will enter the Earth's atmosphere at 6:05 a.m. Central Time. At about an altitude of 61.8 miles. They will soon enter into a plasma regime where the peak heating around the Soyuz will begin. They exit that about 5 minutes later with a maximum G load on them of about 4 to 5 Gs. And then the important command to open chutes will occur just about 15 minutes before touchdown at an altitude of 6.6 miles, where the parachute deployment sequence triggered by a barometric pressure sensor begins. A main parachute cover is jettisoned, pulling out 2 extraction chutes, which in turn pulls out a drogue chute, and then in turn pulls out the main parachute. Just a few seconds before touchdown, soft landing engines will fire in a final braking maneuver, and the crew will be home. Touchdown is scheduled at 6:28 a.m. Central Time, 7:28 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:28 p.m. in Kazakhstan, 2 hours and 20 minutes before sunset. The weather at the landing site is very, very good for today's landing. Scattered clouds at about 23,000 feet, moderate winds, nothing of any significance, and the temperature at landing time is expected to be about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. At the airport in Zhezkazgan, the search and recovery personnel and the NASA support personnel are in their respective helicopters. Rotors are running. The first helicopters will be airborne at around the time of the deorbit burn, just a few minutes from now, headed to the southeast to the landing zone. Again, about a 35-minute helicopter ride from Zhezkazgan to that landing site. At the landing site, an Antonov 26 fixed-wing aircraft that transported the recovery team from Karaganda earlier this morning will be flying in the vicinity of the landing site, acting as a relay station, if you will, a command and control center to relay voice and data back to Russian flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside of Moscow.
Control that the angular rate integrated unit BIOS is powered, that it is ready just 1 minute before the burn. All right, will do. I am ready to send G3 command. This is Piotr. Moscow, Astray 1. Go ahead, Antón. We are ready to issue. So we had a break in comm. We did not copy you last, Astray. So there is a lot of background noise, but please still provide a running commentary. We copy you, Moscow.
We're coming up on 1 minute prior to the start of the deorbit burn. Again, a 4-minute, 39-second braking maneuver. Following the completion of the deorbit burn, the upper portion of the Soyuz, the orbital module, will be depressurized. That is in advance of the pyrotechnic separation of the three modules, the three sections of the Soyuz spacecraft that will occur about 28 minutes after the deorbit burn is complete.
And the gas in attitude also is confirmed, and the stabilization mode is on, and we can see the message that SKD cover is open. Copy.
The engine cover is open, standing by for the start of the deorbit burn.
We have sent G3, and A1 command is also sent, and it is illuminated, so the SKD thruster cover is open. 15 seconds until SKD firing. Copy. Please provide running commentary. Copy.
And the deorbit burn is now underway. Good pressure readings, good impulse. This burn will last 4 minutes, 39 seconds, slowing the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second. You will hear Shkaperlov reporting chamber pressures as the burn continues.
Attitude is nominal. Copy. 18.2 is the burn duration. 22 is the burn. KDU parameters are nominal. 1 minute of 0:45, and the attitude is nominal.
A little over 3.5 minutes to go in the deorbit burn. Everything looking good so far.
Burn duration. 1 minute 20. 35.5 is the burn. Parameters of KDU are nominal. Attitude is nominal. KDU parameters are nominal. 45 is the burn. One minute 50, the burn is 50.
The numbers being read off by Shkaperlov through the interpreter indicate the duration of the burn so far and how much deceleration is being experienced based on sensors and other computer data being registered on board the Soyuz vehicle.
2 minutes 15 seconds. 60 is the burn value. 64 is the burn value. KDU parameters are nominal. 2.5 minutes. 67 is the burn. The attitude is nominal. KDU parameters.
2 minutes to go in the deorbit burn.
Is the burn value. 2 minutes 45. 74 is the burn value. $89 is the burn value. KDU parameters are nominal. 92 is the burn value. 3.5 minutes duration. 94 is the burn value. 0.45 is the acceleration. The attitude is nominal, and KDU parameters are nominal. 97 is the burn value. 3.45, 100 is the burn value. 0.45 is acceleration. KDU parameters are nominal.
Less than a minute to go in the deorbit burn. The first helicopters are now airborne out of Zhezkazgan, heading for the landing site.
1.5.6. 4 minutes. The attitude is nominal. KDU parameters are nominal. For 10, the burn value is 112. 115 is the burn value.
Standing by for the completion of the deorbit burn.
120 is the burn value. 4.5 minutes, 121 is the burn value.
The deorbit burn now complete. And good reports from the Russian Mission Control Center, a successful deorbit burn right on the numbers. Mark Vande Hei, Piotr Dubrov, Antón Shkaperlov heading back to Earth.
Is the time until separation. Copy.
The next milestone about 23 minutes from now with the pyrotechnic separation of the three sections of the Soyuz vehicle.
Yes, it is decreasing. Copy. We are going to page 56. Copy. We confirm. So the burn is complete. 128.0 is the burn value. Copy.
With the deorbit burn complete, the next milestone, as mentioned, is the module separation. This is a pyrotechnic activity in which the three sections of the Soyuz separate. The descent module, the center section where the crew is strapped into their respective seats, will then enter the atmosphere, heat shield in the direction of travel to repel the buildup of plasma and temperatures around 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Later, the drogue chute will be deployed, followed by the main parachute. And from that point on, about 15 minutes after chute deploy, the last major event is just seconds off the ground, with the firing of the soft landing engines and a final braking maneuver, and the crew will be back on Earth. The parachute deployment sequence, very interesting. That parachute deployment sequence triggered by a barometric pressure sensor at about 41,000 feet above the ground. At this point, the main parachute cover is jettisoned by pyros and springs, pulling out two extraction chutes, which in turn pulls out the drogue chute and then the main chute. It takes about 20 seconds for all this to happen. At about 21,000 feet, another sensor starts a timer, triggering most of the remaining events in the landing sequence. About 18,000 feet off the ground, commands are issued to jettison the heat shield on the Soyuz, no longer needed, to inhibit the entry control thrusters and to open valves that vent hydrogen peroxide fuel for the entry control thrusters and oxygen in the life support system tank. So the white vapor that you have seen on previous Soyuz landings, if the visibility allows that to be seen by long-range cameras at the landing site, the purpose of that venting and the white vapor that is venting into the air is a combination of hydrogen peroxide and oxygen to safe the vehicle for landing so that no hazardous gases remain in those tanks when the soft landing thrusters are fired and the vehicle impacts the ground. That way the ground support personnel can approach the vehicle very quickly without any toxic fuels surrounding the spacecraft itself. So a very intricate number of activities yet to come that will bring Vande Hei, Dubrov, and Shkaperlov home after their mission. Vande Hei and Dubrov completing 355 days in space. A very long mission that began last April 9th of 2021 with a launch on the Soyuz MS-19 spacecraft from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Shkaperlov launched last October on the Soyuz MS-19 that he's returning home in today. Shkaperlov will have completed 176 days in space and 708 days in space on his 4 flights. For Vande Hei, the single U.S. spaceflight endurance record holder that eclipsed Scott Kelly's record back on March 15th. He's completing 5,680 orbits of the Earth and a mission spanning 150.6 million miles.
Guys, my crew, how are you feeling? Great. Those are the our last minutes in wait, listeners. Unintelligible. Moscow, come again. We did not copy you last. Go ahead, Austria. You said something, Moscow. Maybe Piotr is missing gravity, right? Or he spent a whole year on the station. Yes, that's correct. Yes, absolutely. It's my dream to feel the Earth's gravity again.
through the translator, Piotr Dubrov, saying that it is his dream to feel gravity once again. He and Mark Vande Hei will feel the first tug of gravity on their bodies at about 6:05 a.m. Central Time, some 20 minutes from now, at entry interface.
—
15.5 minutes until separation. Copy, Antón.
About 10 minutes from now, just as a heads up, the Soyuz will be some 200 kilometers away from the International Space Station. This is approximately the point, and it varies from entry to entry, but this is approximately the time when VHF voice communications may become a bit choppy and unreliable, so there could be dropouts. The Russian flight controllers have instructed Shkaperlov to continue to provide status reports even if they're not being received on the ground. When the Soyuz is within range of the Antonov 26 fixed-wing aircraft at the landing site, again, that will serve as a flying command and control center to relay data and information back to the Russian flight controllers that you see there in this balcony view of the control room in Korolyov outside of Moscow. So do not fret if we lose communications with the crew. That is expected and is usually the case during a Soyuz entry back to Earth. Countdown clocks here in Mission Control ticking backward toward the expected landing time some 38 minutes from now. The landing zone some 90 miles to the southeast of the town of Zhezkazgan. The search and recovery forces and NASA support personnel are airborne now out of Zhezkazgan, the intermediary staging site, heading for the landing site. They'll arrive in a circular pattern, an oval-shaped pattern, flying around the landing site with eyes peeled for that familiar orange and white main parachute. Prior to touchdown, the chutes deploy about 15 minutes before touchdown.
говори. На странице 56. 56?
So what page is that? Page 56?
Да, в принципе, можно уже осуществлять подготовку к разделению.
Astray, yes, it's a go to start the preparation for the module separation. Page 56. We copy Moscow. So the KSS Rescue 8 are ready. So should we close the visors? Breaking up. So the F3 command should be sent. It's a go. Copy, and rotational hand controller is in the transport position. Well done.
Так, мне нужен Рус.
Okay, I need Rus. Okay, manual entry control is here. I'm holding it. And I'm activating, I'm powering it on.
We're about 8 minutes away from the expected module separation, the next milestone on the road home for Vande Hei, Dubrov, and Shkaperlov.
So the manual entry control is powered. Copy. So we are starting to tighten our safety belts and straps. So, Piotr, you have KSP panel on the left side, and I'm going to the descent display. Moscow, I confirm the angular rate integrated unit BIOS on the display, descent display, and I'm releasing push-to-talk button. Yes, you please use push-to-talk button only and do not secure it.
Так, Астрей, по возможности ведите репортаж о прохождении меток программы разделения.
Astray, if possible, please report on how you go through the separation timeline.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're about 3 minutes away from the expected separation of modules. The three sections will pyrotechnically separate on computer command. The descent module, Antón Shkaperlov, the Soyuz commander, in the center seat, flanked on his left by Piotr Dubrov and on his right by NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei. The descent module, with the heat shield facing the direction of travel, will begin to enter the Earth's atmosphere at about 6:05 a.m. Central Time, and a plasma buildup around the spacecraft, peak heating, if you will occur about a minute and a half after entry interface at an altitude of some 50 miles above the Earth. This is Mission Control Houston. All of the programmed commands have been issued for the pyrotechnic separation of the modules. We're standing by for confirmation of that event. And we have confirmation of module separation right on time. Two and a half minutes away from entry interface at an altitude of 62 miles. That will be the first pull of gravity for Mark Vande Hei and Piotr Dubrov in almost a year. 24.5 minutes until the expected touchdown of the Soyuz MS-19 on the steppe of Kazakhstan. All of the search and recovery helicopters are airborne, heading from Zhezkazgan to the southeast, about 90 miles from Zhezkazgan to the landing site. They will arrive shortly before touchdown, form a circular racetrack pattern around the landing zone with the parachute, the main parachute for the Soyuz as their target. Once the Soyuz touches down, they'll begin to descend and land in sequential fashion so that the recovery operations and the extraction of the crew can proceed as expeditiously as possible. With everything proceeding on track, the Soyuz and its 3 crew members should have entered the Earth's atmosphere moments ago. They'll begin to see a buildup of plasma around their spacecraft just about a minute and a half from now. Less than 22 minutes before touchdown.
Unintelligible. $30.
The Soyuz has entered the plasma regime, where temperatures around the vehicle building up to some 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, repelled by its heat shield. We expect the spacecraft to exit that plasma regime about 3.5 minutes from now. Again, this is the point of entry for the Soyuz vehicle, where communications are often lost for a period of time, or choppy at best, due to the distance between the Soyuz and the International Space Station. Better communications will occur once the Soyuz is in closer proximity to the landing site, relaying through VHF voice capability through the Antonov 26 command and control aircraft flying over the landing zone. Just over 17 minutes until touchdown. All of the deorbit and entry milestones have passed in good shape. The last report that we got from Soyuz Commander Antón Shkaperlov indicated that the crew was feeling well and ready for touchdown.
Астрей, тип спуска.
Astray, what's your
Принято.
descent status? Everything's nominal, 4.65.
Принято.
And what's for the TVM? It's +7. We're feeling great. 4.65 Gs. We are feeling great. Gs are decreasing, 4.1. How are you feeling, and what's the sap pressure? We're feeling great. Sap pressure is 588.
Out of the plasma regime, Antón Shkaperlov reporting that the crew is feeling great. We are about a minute away from the expected command to open the parachutes.
And we're standing by for the jettisoning of the main parachute. Please provide a running commentary if you can. 2.4 is the G. Load. It's decreasing. 2.1 now for G loads. G load is 1.6. We are standing by for the jettisoning of the main parachute. The rescue aids are going to be primed in 40 seconds. Are you still standing by for them? Yes, we are. Copy.
Standing by for further voice communication between the Soyuz MS-19 and the Antonov 26 fixed-wing aircraft, acting as a relay station to flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center. This is Mission Control Houston. We're standing by for regaining voice communication with the Soyuz crew. At this point, the parachutes should have deployed. We're about 11 and a half minutes away from touchdown. And there's our Soyuz MS-19 under the orange and white parachute, less than 8 minutes before touchdown. Partly cloudy skies, temperatures in the mid-40s Fahrenheit. The search and recovery forces now have reestablished contact with the crew on board the Soyuz MS-19 under the command of Antón Shkaperlov. The Soyuz descending under its parachute, having jettisoned the heat shield, and having vented as planned a combination of hydrogen peroxide and oxygen to save the vehicle from the dispelling of any toxic fuels after touchdown. We're just over 7 minutes before landing to wrap up a year-long mission for Mark Vande Hei and Piotr Dubrov, and 176 days in space for Antón Shkaperlov. All of the entry events have gone as planned. The crew at last report indicating that they were feeling great. All of the helicopters associated with the search and recovery forces and NASA support personnel on board are in a circular flying pattern around that landing zone, with eyes on the Soyuz under its main chute. The crew is talking with the search and recovery forces.
That's
the familiar radio beacon providing landing information and other systems information to the Antonov 26 being relayed back to the Russian flight controllers outside of Moscow.
The barometric data on the panel shows 2500. And we copy.
Approximately 4.5 minutes until touchdown. The late afternoon sun at the landing site in Kazakhstan, glinting off of the Soyuz MS-19 as it continues a nominal descent back to the south-central steppe of Kazakhstan. This landing occurring about 2 hours and 20 minutes before sunset.
2,000 altitude based on barometric data. We copy. It's 1,830.
Before long, we should see some of the Russian Mi-8 helicopters with search and recovery personnel flying in the neighborhood of the Soyuz on its descent pattern. Once the Soyuz touches down, those helicopters will land rather quickly in sequential fashion to begin the process of attending to safing of the vehicle and then the extraction of the crew.
$1,470 is the barometric data. The crew is feeling fine. A 1,000 altitude for barometric data. The crew's feeling fine.
Less than 2 minutes before touchdown. The crew feeling fine, everything going by the book.
We copy. $600, we copy. We copy 400. $300, copy. Communications stopping. We're preparing for landing.
We should see the horizon momentarily. There's one of the Russian Mi-8 helicopters as we stand by for touchdown. Touchdown. Touchdown confirmed at 6:28 a.m. Central Time, 7:28 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:28 p.m. at the landing site. Mark Vande Hei and Piotr Dubrov back home 1 year after leaving the planet. Soyuz MS-19 under the command of Antón Shkaperlov back on Earth along with Mark Vande Hei and Piotr Dubrov. A nominal entry, a perfect landing, a bullseye touchdown as the Russian search and recovery forces in the Mi-8 helicopters begin the process of landing sequentially. There's one of those helicopters. They will be in the neighborhood of the Soyuz capsule momentarily to begin first to erect an inflatable medical tent and then safe the vehicle before the crew is extracted from the spacecraft. They undocked from the Rassvet module of the International Space Station just over 4 hours ago at 2:21 a.m. Central Time, 3:21 a.m. Eastern Time. The deorbit burn was executed less than an hour ago in perfect fashion, and all of the entry milestones of module separation, entry interface, and the deployment of the main parachute, as you saw, all of that went as planned. As you see, the parachute still attached to the Soyuz MS-19 and several of the Russian Mi-8 helicopters nearby to begin the process of safing the vehicle and extracting the crew. We expect, as is normally the case, for the video to be discontinued for a short period of time so that the TV truck repositions itself by the spacecraft, at which point we will regain video from the landing site. This is Mission Control Houston, continuing to receive video from the landing site in Kazakhstan some 5 minutes after the touchdown of Soyuz MS-19 about 90 miles to the southeast of the remote town of Zhezkazgan, 2 hours and 20 minutes before sunset there. Russian Mi-8 helicopters have continued the process of landing in the neighborhood of the spacecraft. Other support personnel in all-terrain vehicles are moving up to the spacecraft to begin erecting an inflatable medical tent within which the crew will be brought after a short time outside of the Soyuz to get out of their Sokol launch and entry suits and into more comfortable flight clothing, as well as to undergo initial medical testing before they board those helicopters for a 2-hour flight back to the staging city of Karaganda to the northeast, where the crew ultimately will split up several hours from now. Mark Vande Hei boarding a NASA jet to return to Houston. Antón Shkaperlov and Piotr Dubrov boarding a Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft headed for their training base at Star City, Russia, outside of Moscow.
Station on 2. The connectivity readings for the aft suit are 0.04 and for the forward suit 0.03.
Okay, Roger, we copy.
This is Mission Control Houston, receiving word from the search and recovery forces that the Soyuz landed and was pulled over by the wind. That is not unusual. So the Soyuz is on its side, and the search and recovery personnel are beginning the process of safing the vehicle. The Soyuz on its side. As expected, the TV signal from the landing site temporarily discontinued while the TV operation personnel make their way to the capsule itself, at which point we fully expect that we will regain the television signal to see the crew either in the process of or already out of the spacecraft. Touchdown occurred right on time at 6:28 a.m. Central Time, 7:28 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:28 p.m. at the landing site southeast of Zhezkazgan, Kazakhstan. The search and recovery forces are continuing the early process of safing the Soyuz MS-19. They will be extracting the crew very shortly. The Soyuz landed on its side with the winds of a moderate velocity out at the landing site, pulling the parachute over and in turn pulling the Soyuz on its side following touchdown. Mark Vande Hei and Piotr Dubrov completing 355 days in space and aboard the International Space Station, completing a mission of 150.6 million miles. Vande Hei coming home with the record for the longest single space flight by a U.S. astronaut, eclipsing the former record held by Scott Kelly by 15 days, bringing him to a total of 523 days, third on the all-time endurance list. And we're back with live video from the landing site. Antón Shkaperlov, the Soyuz commander, out of the spacecraft.
Great air, no dust. Do you remember me? Oh, sure. And thank you. Not too many people here. This is great. Everything is fine. Take the measurements, please. Do you want glasses? Sure, why not?
Antón Shkaperlov, the Soyuz commander, having completed his 4th flight into space and to the International Space Station. 708 days in space for Shkaperlov, 7th on the all-time endurance list. And as we mentioned earlier, the Soyuz on its side, it did land upright, but was pulled over on its side as its large main parachute was caught by the wind and pulled the Soyuz over.
And we'll take some more measurements. And how are you feeling? Oh, great people here. It's a pleasure to see you. It's like we never left. You saw me off and now you're seeing me back. So how did the descent go? Oh, everything went nominal. The helicopters found us very quickly, just as the chute opened, and then the helicopters were found. I would like to thank everybody who has come here to attend the landing, all the search and rescue people for very well coordinated work. It's complicated work, and we're so glad that there are people here who know the job and they're high level at doing everything that is possible in their complex work.
Еще
And congratulations. Oh, thank you.
Не, отлично, отлично. А?
Are you cold? No, everything is fine. Would you like some tea with lemon? Or with rose hips? That's great.
Там что, манго заказывать?
Да, как это нам Вадим Владимирович не передал? Мы с цитрусовыми.
Да, да. Командир, который с тобой на связи. Добрый день. О, добрый день. Спасибо огромное. Рад, что так рано нас нашли.
Good to see you. I was so glad that they found us so quickly.
Андрей, не Антон.
Andrei and Anton. It's a pleasure to see you here.
Спасибо, спасибо.
And thank you for your work and thank you for your help.
Как ты? Да ничего. Ну ладно. Как сам?
How are you doing? Everything is fine.
Не, все хорошо.
Are you? Is it cold? No, it's not cold. It's fine. The tea is great. Very tasty.
Намного.
And the tea here is much tastier.
Земля греет.
Once you're on your homeland, that makes everything feel better.
А есть какая-нибудь салфетки? Да?
Я просто не видела.
Но нас предупреждали, что... Ой, а есть сухая? Там то ли не могу понять. Это щипит глаз. Пот попал.
And just a moment.
Ну, вообще даже вот здесь грязь у нас попалась.
Да, ну там.
There's some dust probably blown by the wind.
Где?
А давай. Да. All good. Thank you.
Не просили второй замер? Сказали? Для себя?
Руслан, мне надо передать письмо. Какое есть? Сергей, он там с парашютами занимается.
Сергей?
Олег просил. У него фамилия такая крутая, сапер. Лысый такой. Классный мужик. Из мод. Где-то он там с парашютами.
There's a letter I need to give to that person. Yeah, we'll find him.
Не просили, оказывается. Сейчас давление посмотрим. Сейчас меряем.
We'll just take a few measurements here and then.
This is Mission Control Houston. Some 24 minutes following the landing of the Soyuz MS-19, you see RSC Energia and search and recovery personnel working on the continuing extraction of the other two crew members, Mark Vande Hei and Piotr Dubrov. Antón Shkaperlov was first out, as is typically the case, with the Soyuz commander occupying the center seat. He will always be extracted first to open a pathway, if you will, for the extraction of the other two crew members. And Piotr Dubrov, outside of the Soyuz capsule, 355 days in space. He and Mark Vande Hei having launched together last April 9th.
I wouldn't mind flying some more.
Руслан, скажите, часы у меня слетели где-то в районе центральной поезда. Да.
I think my watch fell off and it's there somewhere. And the helicopters are set up over there.
Здесь. Что, пора помощь оказать американцам?
В смысле? Сигнал не идет вам?
Давай, туда.
Туда.
Сейчас давление померим.
Are you getting the signal? Will be done shortly. I can see him.
Пожалуйста, у меня вон. Сейчас, просьба не снимать, мы его перенесем. Да, прямо с креслом возьмите. Да.
We'll relocate them together with the chairs and we can wrap up here.
Отправился? Да. Хорошо у них там документы. Да.
And NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei now out of the Soyuz spacecraft.
Это точно, пролетели полгода, блядь. Все успел сделать, или последнего дня? Как всегда, не хватило одной ночи. А? Здорово, дорогой.
The last night of the flight, we were on the cupola. Is this the second measurement? Yes, it is.
Is that my hat? Did my hat grow? We'll get you your hat. I don't know where your hat is. You can wear that one. Can you find it? Mask? I would like a mask. There should be some baseball caps. In your red. In the blue bag? Might be in the blue bag, not in the red bag. Blue bag. I'm pretty sure I left some. For this one on here, take the cap off, goes on your chin first. We gotta get the chin on though. Хорошо. I don't want the glasses. It's too beautiful out here. You can take the glasses.
And don't move. Is there any tea? Yes, sure. And let's find a cup. I think we'll have some disposable cups there. The tea was very good. We'll share on the big screen. Everything is ready. The cameras come from both sides. Oh, I feel like a star. And here's some people from Ministry of Defense. They can see you, and so you're welcome to send hello. So now that I'm on the ground, I am sending my regards from the ground rather than from space. The weather is beautiful. Everything went nominal. No injuries. Nobody was hurt, even though during the training and expecting the landing, they told us that the weather was going to be bad, but the weather was perfect and everything is according to plan. Now we are going to proceed to rehabilitate from the flight.
A little more than 30 minutes after the Soyuz landed on the steppe of Kazakhstan, right on target. The 3 crew members are out, enjoying the smell of fresh air. For Vande Hei and Dubrov, the sights and sounds of planet Earth for the first time in a year.
The plenary. One of them was Winston Churchill in 1948. Today, it's a great honor for me to introduce the President of Ukraine,